Hey my beautiful bitches, it's me, Fiona St. James, and welcome to another episode of Fiona's Coffee Talks. And as always, I like to start off every day with a fresh, hot, black cup of coffee. Hold the cream! I'd love to. And of course, I think of my favorite quote of the century, which is by Oscar Wilde, who says, "Life is too important to be taken seriously. So lighten up, folks." Anyway, today's episode is, drumroll please, World AIDS Day. Which today, obviously, it's Friday, December 3rd. World AIDS Day was 2 days ago. And, I wanted to do this particular video because, I'm honest about the fact that I've been living with HIV half my life, 1993, April 1st, 1993. So 28 years later, here I am. It's interesting when I think of like all of the friends that I've lost. Like I remember when in the 80s and I started going out to Fire Island, about 1985 was when when it really like hit the media, because before then it was called GRID, gay-related immune deficiency, because it was like the gay cancer. But then all of a sudden, when people other than gay people were getting it, then all of a sudden they changed the name and then they gave a shit. But I remember between 85 and 90, going out to Cherry Grove, Fire Island, everyone that I knew passed away. And Fire Island became very different. So for myself, I had been tested in 1990 and I was negative. Now, in hindsight, when I think about it, I really think that in 1990, that was probably a false negative. Because if anything, that I knew at that point that I would have been. So I was surprised that I wasn't. And then between 1990 and then 93, when I tested positive, I didn't do anything risky, so I was like, maybe. But anyway, but I remember when I was first diagnosed, even though back then it was still sort of like a death sentence, the protease inhibitors were not out yet, I remember in my mind thinking, this ain't gonna kill me. So I've always had the mindset of, I think I'm Superman anyway, and I think I'm invincible, or maybe Wonder Woman, or more like it's the one that I'm not a woman. But anyway, I digress, but I always I remember that precise moment I was with my best friend Droopy, hey Droopy, and I said, I'm never ever gonna shed a tear over this again, this ain't gonna kill me. And knock on wood, 28 years later, I've never really had anything wrong with me pertaining to the fact that I'm HIV positive. So, and let's keep it real, honey. I've had my moments where, for the most part, I'm healthy, but, we all kind of do things sometimes, at least I do, where I'm like, I wonder if that was so wise, but here I am. So I don't, I've always spoken about mind over matter, and if you, and karma and all of that, and if you put the thoughts out there, and if you think a certain way, you can will things to happen or will things not to happen. I think that's part of it. I don't know what the other part is, because, I look at some of my friends that are no longer here who, were leading healthy lifestyles. So it's always baffled me, how some people will respond to something a certain way and not survive it. And then other people like me, I'm able to. I don't know that there's any rhyme or reason to it. I mean, I guess one's genetic makeup or, combination of that and how you live your life, and I guess your mindset. I think the mindset has a lot to do with it, more so than people realize. And and I've, as a Pisces, I've always been a bit self-aware, and I've always known that has a lot to do with everything. And I've always, I've always had that ability to do that. So, but here it is. Eons later, it's still around. You don't, it's funny, you don't hear too much about it. People are obviously living with AIDS, but because or living with HIV, but you don't hear too much about it in the media anymore, because everything's about COVID, and and I think because of the fact that it is manageable these days, and a lot of people have it, and you could live with it, and it's not a death sentence anymore. That's why it doesn't get as much focus or attention as it used to. But who knows? There's still strides to be made. It's mind-boggling to me that it's been out since the late 70s, and they still have yet to find any kind of real cure for it. You know, I guess the pills that one takes that prevent you from, like, you know, getting really sick, I mean, I guess inadvertently may not be a cure, but it's something where at least you know you're not going to die, hopefully. And not to say that people do or don't. So I've thought of that where I'm like, you know, what is the real reason why some people do and some people don't? I don't know. But I know on like a day like today, you know, I think of the people that I knew that are no longer with us. You know, you think of them periodically. And then on this particular day, you know, it does get me reflective and it makes me think of them that much more. You know, I try to think of the good times. I always say when someone passes away, like, don't focus on, you know, on the fact that they're not here, but try to think of the good times. So, you know, I think of all of those people. And I think, like, you know, Fire Island, back then, you know, when in the 80s, when I first started going, I was there every summer, every weekend. It was such a slice of heaven for me. And, you know, and I did lose a lot of people, and hopefully they are in heaven and watching down and saying, hey, girl. All right. Anyway, I'm going to keep this one short. Hard to believe, I know. But those of you who are living with HIV, you know, and you're still here, keep doing what you're doing, because obviously it's working. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. And, you know, look, at some point, I ain't going to be here. You ain't going to be here at some point. But while we're here, let's make the best of it. Take care of each other, love each other. Don't forget, always tell people that you love them. I don't think people do that enough. You know, I'm like that when I'm on the phone with someone, and if I hang up with someone, I'm always like, love you. I think more people need to do that. So, anywho, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I am going to do another video next week as well. I know I've been doing every other week, but, you know, sometimes I need to do things back to back. So, all right, guys. Love you. Thanks for tuning in. Stay safe, healthy, and I will see you soon.